Today we're going to do an introduction lesson on linear equations. I'm going to show you a short video clip that will kind of review it. Then we're going to go into the book and do some problems together as a class. And then we're going to end the lesson with a Kahoot game. So let's listen to the video.
Let's do a couple of problems graphing linear equations. And there are a bunch of ways to graph linear equations. And what we'll do in this video is kind of the most basic way, where we'll just plot a bunch of values and then connect the dots. And I think you'll see what I'm saying. So here I have an equation, a linear equation. I'll rewrite it just in case that was too small. Y is equal to 2x plus 7. And I want to graph this linear equation. Before I even take out the graph paper, what I could do is set up a table where I pick a bunch of x values, and then I can figure out what y value would correspond to each of those x values. So for example, if x is equal to, let me start really low, if x is equal to minus 2, or negative 2 I should say, what is y? Well, you substitute negative 2 up here, it would be 2 times negative 2 plus 7. So this is negative 4 plus 7. This is equal to...
I want you guys to go ahead and take that equation. So they're simply plugging in x as negative 2. 2 times negative 2 plus 7. Go ahead and do that on your calculators. Let's see if we can get the same answer. Go ahead and shout it out if you have it. 3. Good job, you guys.
3. If x is equal to, I'm just picking x values at random that might be indicative of, I'll probably do 3 or 4 points here. So what happens when x is equal to 0? Then y is going to be equal to 2 times 0 plus 7 is going to be equal to...
All right, let's go ahead and try that one now. They're plugging in 0 for x. 2 times 0 plus 7. Go ahead and shout it out again. 7. Very good job, you guys.
7.
Good job.
What about, I just happen to be going up by 2. You could be going up by 1, or you could be picking numbers at random. When x is equal to 2, what is y? Well, 2.
Okay, let's plug it in again. 2. X goes into 2. Plus 7. Give you guys a second to plug that in. 2 times 2 plus 7. Go ahead and shout it out. 11. Very good.
Be 2 times 2.
See, this is pretty
7.
easy.
So 4.
We're just plugging it into the equation.
11. And I could keep plotting points if I like, but we should already have enough to graph it. And actually, to plot any line, you actually only need 2 points. So we already have one more than necessary. Actually, let me just do one more just to show you this really is a line.
We'll let him do this next one by himself.
X is equal to 4. And actually, just to not go up by 2, let's do x is equal to 8. Just to pick a random number. Then y is going to be 2 times 8 plus 7, which is, let's see, well, this might go off of our graph paper, but 2 times 8 is 16, plus 7 is equal to 23. Now, let's graph it. So let me do my y-axis.
Okay, I want you guys to get out your graph paper. I passed out these sheets to every one of you, and you can go ahead and follow along with his graph.
There. That is my y-axis.
So y-axis, vertical.
See, I have a lot of positive values here, so I want a lot of space on the positive y side.
X-axis.
X-axis.
Horizontal.
And I use the points x is equal to negative 2. Negative 2, that's negative 1. That's 0, 1.
And your number's already plotted for you, so
3,
don't worry about this part.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are our x values, and then we can go up into the y-axis. I'll do it at a slightly different scale because these numbers get large very quickly. So maybe I'll do it in increments of 2. So this could be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I could just keep going up there, but let's plot these points. So this first coordinate I have is x is equal to negative 2, y is equal to 3. So it's the point, so I can write my coordinates. It's going to be the point negative 2, 3. X is negative 2, y is 3.
So go ahead and plot that point. We're going to go to negative 2 first and up to 3. That's our starting point. I'll give you guys a second to do that.
3 would land right over there. So that's our first one, -2.
Go ahead and write that
3.
next to your point.
Then our next point, 0, 7.
0, 7.
0, 7. X is 0, y.
So you're going to start at the 0 and go up 7. That's your next point.
Y is 7, right there. 0, 7. Then we have this one in green here. Point 2, 11. 2, 11 would be right about there. 2, 11. And now this last point, this is actually going to fall off of my graph. 8, 23.
2, 11. That goes off the graph paper. Don't worry about it. Just do your best. And then the last point, don't worry about this one because this one goes way off the graph. We have 3 points, so we'll be fine.
If you can even see what I'm doing, this is 8, 23. And then if we connect the dots, you'll see a line form. So let me connect these dots. It should be. I've obviously
Okay, go ahead
on it, so it might...
and connect your dots on your line. And if your line isn't perfect, that's okay.
That'd be a perfectly straight line. But if you had a computer do it, it would be a straight line. So you could keep picking x values and figuring out the corresponding y values. In this situation, y is a function of our x values. And if you kept plotting every point, you'll get every line. If you picked every possible x and plotted every one, you'd get every point on the line. Let's do another problem.
We're going to do another one together. This is a word problem.
Money from dollars into euros.
And then we'll get into the book
from
problem.
Dollars into euros. The service costs $5. And for every additional dollar, you get 0.7. You get 0.7 euros. Make a table for this and plot the function on a graph. Use your graph to determine how many euros you would get if you give the office $50. All right, so I'll write euros. Euros is equal to, so let's see.
Go ahead and follow along as he's writing.
So you're going to have to give your dollars. They're right off the...
We won't get into word problems as extensive as this during the lesson, but we will just take a look at this one.
Bat. Right off of the bat, they're going to take $5. So dollars minus 5. So immediately, there's the service costs $5. And then everything that's left over, this is your leftover, you get 0.7 euros for every leftover dollar. So you get 0.7 for whatever's left over. So this is the relationship. Now,
so that's our equation.
We can actually answer their question right off the bat. If you give them $50, we don't have to even look at a graph, but we will look at a graph right after this. So if you did euros is equal to, if you have given $50, it would be 0.7 times 50 minus 5. You gave them 50. They took 5 as a service fee, so this is just $45, and it would be 0.7 times 45. And I could do that right here. 45 times 0.7, 7 times.
Go ahead and do that in your calculator. 45 times 0.7. Go ahead and shout it out. 31.5, is that what you guys got?
5 is 35. 4 times 7 is 28. Plus 3 is 31. And then we have
Very
only
good,
one
you guys.
number behind the decimal, only this 7, so it's 31.5. So if you give them $50, you're going to get 31.5 euros.
Keep following along.
Euros, not dollars. So we answered their question, but let's actually do it graphically. So let's do a table. Let's say, maybe I'll get a calculator out. I'll refer to that in a little bit. So let's say dollars, you give them. Dollars. And how many euros
Go ahead and make the table.
do you get? And I'll just put a bunch of random numbers. You got to give them, if you give them $5, they're just going to take your $5 for the fee. You're going to get $5 minus 5, which is 0, times 0.7. So you're going to get nothing back. So there's really no good reason for you to do that. Then if you give them, I don't know, $10, what's going to happen? You give them $10, 10 minus 5 is 5 times 0.7. You're going to get $3, or I should
So
say
just
3.
like our other equation, we're plugging in the dollar amount right here.
50
That's
euros,
how we get our euro side.
euros you'll get. Now what happens if you give them, I don't know, let's say you gave them $30. Actually, let me say 25.
25.
$25.
Let's plug that in.
25 minus 5 is 20.
So
20 times
0.7 times 20
is $14. And I'll do one more value. Let's say I gave him $55.
So these are our points that
This
we're going
makes
to
the
plug.
math easy because then you subtract that 5 out. 55 minus 5 is 50 times 0.7 is $35. $35. Wait, is that right? Yep, that's right. 50. You'll get 35 euros, I should say. These are all euros. I keep wanting to say dollars. So let's plot this. And all of these values are positive.
Don't worry about plotting. Our graph doesn't go as high. We'll just follow along for this part.
So I only have to draw the first quadrant here. So all of these values are positive. And so the dollars, let's say, let's go in increments of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. I made my x-axis a little shorter than I needed to, all the way up to 55. And then the y-axis, I'll go increments of 5. So that's 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Well, that's a little bit too much of an increment. 35. All right, now let's plot these points. I give him $5. I get
Okay, go ahead and follow along.
euros. So this right here is euros.
It's 50.
This is the dollars. The dollars is the independent variable, and we figure out the euros from it. Or the euros I get is dependent on the dollars I get. If I give $10, I get 350 euros. So 350, it's hard to read. Maybe 350 would be right around there. If I give $25, I get 14 euros. 25, 14 is right about there. Obviously, I'm hand drawing it, so it's not going to be quite exact. And if I give $55, I get 35 euros. So 55, 35 right there. And then if I were to connect the dots, I should get something that looks pretty close to a line. And if I did it, if I was a computer, it would be exactly a line. That looks pretty good. And then we could eyeball what they asked us to do. Use your graph to determine how many euros you would get if you give the office $50.
So now we're going to predict based on our graph.
Here. So you go bam, 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 bam. All right, I'm at the graph. Then you go all the way. Actually, I drew that last point on the graph a little bit incorrectly. Let me. That 55, 35 is right here. Let me redraw that point. So 35 is right there. Roughly, so 55, 35 is right there. So let me redraw my line. It will look, I lost 25. 25, 14 is like right there. So my graph looks something like that. That's my best attempt. Now, let's answer the question.
It doesn't have to
$50
be perfect.
right there. Go up.
So he's using his graph to find the
$50
missing amount.
the person is going to get. You go all the way to the left-hand side. That's right about $31.50. We figured out exactly using the formula, but you can see you can eyeball it from the graph and figure out any amount of dollars. If you give them $20, you're going to go all the way over here, and you'll figure out that it should be, well, $20 should be about $7.50. So that might.
So at first glance, this problem looked a little difficult, but it's as simple as plugging it into the equation and find the missing amount. So I want you guys to turn to page 144 in your book. This is how we're going to start our lesson. So a linear equation is an equation whose graph is a line. The points on the line are solutions of the equation. You can use a graph to show the solutions of a linear equation. The graph below represents the equation y equals x plus 1. So we're going to take our x value. Go ahead and write your equation. Y equals x plus 1. We're going to make our table. And I'm writing on the smartboard so you guys can follow along. We have our x column and our y column, and then our x and y points. Just need 3 spaces. So the first number we're going to plug in is -1 for x. So I take my x, -1 plus 1. That's my equation. What did you guys get? Jeremy? 0. Very good. Go ahead and write that. So now, what is my x and y point? Giselle? -1 and 0. Very good. So that's how we're going to plot our points on the graph, and we'll get to that. So our next number is 0. So I'm going to plug it in to x. 0 plus 1 Obviously, we get 1. So x is 0, y is 1, our point is 0, 1. Our next point is 2. 2 plus 1. Mikkel? Good. 3. So then our point is 2, 3. Let's go ahead and graph this. So follow along. My first point is -1, 0. So I'm just going to place my pencil on the -1, plot it there because 0 means I'm not going to go anywhere. Then I have 0, up 1. And then my last point is 2, +3. And then you have your 3 points. Go ahead and make that line. Make sure you guys are following along. And your line should look something like this on the board. Very good, you guys. Let's go to the next one. This is a little harder equation. Y equals -2x plus 1. I want you guys to go ahead and make your table again. So we have our x column, our equation column, y equals -2x plus 1, where we're going to plug it in. And then we have our y column, and then x and y together, so we can plot those points. Okay. My first x value is -1, so go ahead and plug that into your equation. So we have -2 times -1 plus 1. Jeremy, what did you get? 3. Very good. So go ahead and write that in your y column, and then make sure you write out your equation where you plugged it in. So then, Stephen, what is my x and y value? -1, 3. Very good. All right, let's go to our next one. 0. Let's plot this. You guys are doing an awesome job following along. Great job. So let's write our equation out. Y equals -2 times 0 plus 1. Go ahead and plug it in. -2 times 0 plus 1. You should have gotten 1. Very good. Janaya, what is our x and y point? 0, 1. Very good. All right, we have one more point, and then we're going to plot it on our graph. Our x value is 2. Y equals -2 times 2 plus 1. Go ahead and plug it in. Dariana, what did you get for that? -3. Very good. So then our points are 2, -3. Let's plot these points. This is the easy part, right? Go ahead and follow along as I do it on the board. We're going to go to -1, up 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go to 0, up 1. Good job, you guys. And then we're going to go to 2 and down 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, your line should look like this. Go ahead and connect the dots. And your line doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay. All right. Let's go to the next page. I want you guys to go ahead and go to page 146. We're going to graph these linear equations on your calculator, because when you do take state testing and standardized testing, they do have a lot of problems where they ask you to graph using your graphing calculator. So all you have to do is go and press y equals, and then you're going to simply plug in the equation. Your equation is y equals -5x. And then you're going to go ahead and hit graph. So your graph should look something like this. All right. We're going to go ahead and do the next one. Y equals y equals 1/4. So you do 1 divided by 4, and then put your x on there. Okay, go ahead and do the next one. Y equals 5. Okay, So that's just an example how you graph them. It's pretty simple. Okay, we're going to skip ahead. And I'm going to go over slope. So, the slope, m of a line, is the ratio of the change in rise to the change in x, which is run. So your rise is y and your run is x between any 2 points. So they give you this equation. M equals rise over run equals change in y, change in x, y squared minus y1, and x squared minus x1. That's how you find the slope. Go ahead and write that at the top of your page, the equation for slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's how we figure out our slope. So I want you guys to take a look at this positive slope. When you have a positive slope, the line rises from left to right in the positive area, right? And if you have a negative slope, the line falls from left to right. So you have negative slope going this way. So we're going to go ahead and describe the slope of the line, then find the slope. A. So we can look at our 2 points. If I go over 6, right? From the first point to the second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is my run because I'm going this way. My rise is 5 because I'm going up, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So go ahead and write that. That is your first slope, 5 over 6. And then if you wanted to figure out the equation using the formula, this is how you would do it. You have your 2 points, which is -3 and 1, and then your other points are 3, 4. So let's go ahead and plug it into the equation. So I have 4 minus -1 over 3 minus -3. So we know 4 minus -1 turns into +5. And then we have 3 minus 3 is +6. So 5 over 6 is my slope. See, it's pretty easy. But if you want to just do it the counting way, using the triangle method, that's way easier. And that's okay if you want to use it that way. Let's go ahead and look at B. We're going to use our 2 points again. Well, first let's count. So we have rise is 1, 2, 3. We're making that triangle shape. So that's my top. And then I have it over 2. 1, 2. Now let's go ahead and plug it into our equation. -2 minus 1, because my first point was 1, -2. And then my other points were -1, 1. So -2 minus 1 is my rise. My run is 1 minus -1. So -2 minus 1 is -3. And then I have 1 minus -1, which is 2. So I have a negative slope on that. Do we understand that? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get into the Kahoot. You guys have been doing a great job following so far. I hope you guys understand the positive and negative slopes. Give me a second to log in, and then we will go on to the Kahoot. Okay, go ahead and put in the code. I'll give you guys a second to log on. It's 17 questions. And this is just kind of gauging me, letting me know where you guys are at and if you were comprehending the lesson. Give you guys one more minute to log in. Let's make sure I have all the players ready. Okay. So, we just learned about this, so it should be fresh in your mind. Our first question is, the change in rise over run in a graph is called, is it the slant, the slope, the y-intercept, or the x-intercept? You guys have 20 seconds. Okay, it looks like everyone's answered. The location where the line crosses the y-axis is called the, this is a little trickier one. Is it the slant, the slope, the y-intercept, or the x-intercept? Emphasis on the y-axis. Go ahead and answer. Okay, Good job, you guys. The horizontal axis is called is it the x-axis, the y-axis, the flat line, or the straight line? The horizontal axis. We have two lines, one that goes this way and this way. What do we find on this line? Give you guys a few seconds to answer. Good job. The vertical axis is called is it the x-axis, the y-axis, the flat line, or the straight line? The vertical axis. Take a minute and think about it. Good job, you guys. So, the next question says, does this graph represent a positive or negative slope? Look at the graph on the computer, and it's going this way. We just talked about positive and negative slopes. So if I'm going this way, what direction am I going? Positive or negative? Good job, you guys. And you could probably guess what the next question is going to ask. Does this graph represent a positive or negative slope? So now we're going this way. We just talked about it, positive and negative. Which way is the slope going if it's going this way? Good job, you guys. Okay, we have another graph. Go ahead and take a look at that one. Does this graph represent a positive or negative slope? It's going this way. Good job, you guys. Does this graph represent a positive or negative slope? It's going this way. Okay, good job, you guys. So now we are going to look at the slope. Go ahead and look at this line. We need to describe the slope. Is it positive, negative, 0, or undefined? It's going this way. Now you're going to identify the y-intercept. Go ahead and look at the line. This is a trickier one. Is it 3/4, negative 3/4, 4, or 3? Okay. Next question, we're going to go ahead and identify the slope again. Is it 3/4, negative 3/4, 4, or 3? Make sure you look at it carefully. Okay, now we're going to identify the correct equation for this graph. Is it y equals 2x minus 2, y equals negative 2x minus 2, y equals negative 2x plus 2, or y equals 1/2 x minus 2? Good job, you guys. Identify the correct equation for this graph. Y equals 2/3 x plus 3, y equals 3/2 x plus 3, y equals 3/2x plus 3, or y equals negative 2/3x minus 3. Good job, you guys. We have another equation one. Identify the correct equation for this graph. Y equals negative 3/4x plus 4, y equals 3/4x minus 4, or y equals 4/3x plus 4, and then y equals negative 4/3x plus 4. Take a second to answer that. Good job, you guys. Identify the correct equation for this graph. Make sure you're looking at the graph and matching it. Y equals negative x plus 1, y equals negative x minus 1, y equals x plus 1, or y equals x. Next question, which element in the equation represents the slope? Is it y, m, x, or b? Remember the equation. And the last question, which element in the equation represents the y-intercept? Is it y, m, x, or b? Go ahead and make your selection. Good job, you guys. Okay, you guys did fairly well on that quiz, and that's going to let me know if you guys have mastered this lesson. For homework, I would like you guys to turn to page 151, and I want you guys to fill that out for homework. And when we come to class tomorrow, we will go over the answers. You guys did a very good job. Thank you.